Level 1, the first spark beginner. At 17, the first spark feels more like a warning than a dream. You stand in a training bay with oversized gloves, a cheap helmet, and two pieces of scrap steel clamped to a table that looks older than you. Someone tells you to relax, but your shoulders are tight before the helmet even drops. Then the arc flashes. White light fills the dark lens, the metal hisses, and the sound is louder than you expected, sharp and angry, like the steel is fighting back. Your first beat is ugly. It rises too high, wanders off the line, stops, starts, and leaves little scars where your hand panicked. When you lift the helmet, you pretend not to care, but you care more than you want anyone to see. The older welder only points at the mess and says, "Try again." So you do. You burn the edge, you stick the rod, you leave a mark on your sleeve, and smell hot fabric before you understand what happened. But after enough failed passes, one short line finally looks almost right. Not perfect, not clean, just connected. Two separate pieces of metal are holding because your hands controlled heat for a few seconds. That feeling hits harder than the spark did. Welding stops looking like noise and starts looking like power. You still know nothing, but you stare at the cooling bead like it is proof that fire can be trained if you are stubborn enough to try again today. Level 2, the welding school trainee. At 19, curiosity becomes repetition. You enter a welding class where every booth smells like burnt metal, dust, and nervous pride. On day 1, everyone wants to look tough. By week 2, the booths tell the truth. Sparks do not care how confident you sounded. Your helmet fogs. Your back aches from one position too long. Your glove hand moves too fast, then too slow, then nowhere near straight. The instructor walks by, taps your plate, and explains everything wrong in 10 seconds. Clean the metal. Watch your angle. Control your travel speed. Do not fight the weld. You grind mistakes until your arms feel heavy, then go back inside the booth and run another pass. 6-hour practice days become a private battle between patience and the plate in front of you. Some classmates stop trying to impress anyone. A few quit. You almost understand why. Improvement comes too slowly to feel fair. Then you try again. But the work changes you. You start hearing the difference between a wild arc and a steady one. You feel when your speed is wrong before the instructor says it. Then, one afternoon, you lay a bead so even that people stop beside your booth. Nobody cheers. They just look closer. A classmate asks how you got it that clean. You do not have a fancy answer. You stayed after, burned through scrap, ruined plates, and kept returning to the line. Welding school does not make you a master. It teaches you that pride melts fast, but discipline holds. Level 3, the shop apprentice. At 21, school ends and the real shop begins. The first thing you notice is the speed. In class, every weld had time around it. Here, metal has deadlines. A foreman points at stacks of cut steel, a pile of brackets, and a floor that already needs sweeping. You want to prove you can weld, but most days you carry material, clean edges, refill gas bottles, clamp parts, tack corners, grind ugly spots, and move faster than your pride wants to move. The experienced welders barely look rushed. Their sparks land where they mean them to land. Their beads are straight, their setups are clean, and their mistakes disappear before anyone else sees them. Yours do not. A tack breaks because you rush the fit up. A part warps because you use too much heat. Someone grinds out your weld, and the sound feels personal. But the older workers are not only judging your hand, they are judging your attitude. Do you show up early? Do you clean your station? Do you ask before ruining expensive steel? Do you complain when the job is boring? After 10-hour shifts, your boots feel heavier than the parts you moved. Still, you keep returning. In 1 week, you tack 200 small pieces and learn more from repetition than from any lecture. Then one afternoon, the foreman checks a weld you made, pauses, and does not grind it out. He just says, "Run the next one." It is not praise. It is permission. In a shop, trust starts quietly, with one weld allowed to stay. This time, Level 4, the certified fabrication welder. By 24, your name starts showing up beside work. You pass your certification test after weeks of burning plates you wanted to throw across the room. The inspector bends the coupon, checks the weld, and for a long second your future feels trapped inside that steel. When it passes, the shop does not stop, but your responsibilities change. Now you read drawings, check dimensions, mark cuts, fit pieces, and weld parts that must leave straight, strong, and clean. Frames, brackets, railings, trailers, machinery repairs, custom gates, things people will lean on, load, sell, install, or trust. You learn that fabrication is not only laying a pretty bead, it is thinking ahead. A bad measurement steals an hour. A crooked tack ruins alignment. Too much heat pulls metal out of shape. A beautiful weld in the wrong place is still wrong. The first DOLA 1200 job with your work on it makes you nervous when the customer arrives. You watch him inspect the frame, run a hand near the corner, and nod like it was simple. He does not see layout lines, clamps, rework, grinding dust, or the moment you caught a mistake before it became expensive. Good fabrication is often invisible because it fits the first time. Soon, apprentices ask if the gap is too wide. The foreman sends a blueprint without explaining every step. Your welds are no longer practice marks on scrap. They are promises in steel. Every job that rolls out the door reminds you what the certificate means. Someone can build around your work. Level 5. The structural welder. At 27, the steel around you gets taller than the shop walls. You are no longer building parts that fit in a truck bed. You are welding beams, platforms, stairs, frames, and supports on job sites where sparks echo. The first lift ride tightens your stomach. 40 feet looks lower from the ground until you are clipped into a harness, boots on a narrow deck, wind pushing smoke sideways, and a foreman waits for the weld that holds the next piece in place. Weather becomes part of the job. Cold fingers move slower. Heat turns gloves into ovens. Rain delays one crew and rushes another. Nothing feels as controlled as the booth, but the standard cannot drop just because the world is louder. You learn to set your feet before striking, trust your fall protection, and communicate over grinders, cranes, radios, and men shouting measurements you may not hear twice. The work feels heavier because people will walk on it, climb it, stand under it, and never know your name. That is the pride of structural welding. If you do it right, your work disappears into the building. Inspectors check your welds. Supervisors watch the schedule. A bad pass can delay a crew. A rushed pass can create risk. So you breathe, lower the helmet, and keep the bead steady even when the beam vibrates. Months later, you drive past a finished structure and recognize a corner nobody else would notice. Your welds are inside it, hidden in the bones. For the first time, your skill feels bigger than you. It is holding something up. Level 6. The pipe welder. By 31, you meet the test that humbles almost everyone. Pipe welding is not like running a flat bead where your body gets comfortable and the line waits politely. The joint curves away from you. Gravity changes sides. The position gets awkward when the weld matters most. Your first 6G practice pipe looks like it was made by 3 tired people. One section stacks clean. Another sags. Another undercuts. The instructor cuts it open, points at a flaw you could barely see, and you understand why pipe welders speak less and earn respect faster. The standard is brutal because the work has to hold pressure, heat, water, fuel, steam, or chemicals without forgiveness. You practice until your neck aches and your arms learn angles your brain cannot describe. Root pass, fill, cap, start again when pride wants to pretend it is good enough. Then comes the certification coupon. One small defect can fail the whole thing. You wait while it is inspected. When it passes, the feeling is not loud. It is relief with weight behind it. Soon you are welding in tight spaces, around valves, under racks, beside systems that cannot be practice work. X-ray inspection does not care about confidence. It sees what your helmet hid. That pressure changes your habits. You clean better, fit better, pause longer before striking. Other workers notice. When a pipe job comes in, someone says your name without explaining why. You have crossed into a rank where skill is measured all the way around, especially where nobody can easily reach. Level 7, the pipeline rig welder. At 36, your truck becomes more than transportation. It is your rig, your office, your reputation rolling on tires. The bed carries leads, tools, bottles, clamps, grinders, spare parts, and the welding machine that pays for your life. Pipeline work pulls you away from clean shop floors and into long stretches of dirt, mud, wind, cold, heat, and temporary towns built around the next section of steel. The pay is higher, but nothing about it feels easy. You leave before sunrise, work 12-hour days, eat lunch with dust on your gloves, and learn that comfort is the first thing this rank takes from you. Every weld has a schedule behind it. Every delay costs money. The foreman does not want excuses about weather, distance, or how tired your shoulders feel. He wants the joint ready, the pass clean, and the crew moving. Your name travels faster than your resume now. If you are late, people know. If your welds fail, people know faster. But if you show up ready, keep your machine running, and pass inspection when pressure is high, the next call comes before the current job ends. Your first big paycheck feels unreal until you remember what it cost. Missed birthdays, hotel rooms, sore knees, and silence on drives home when the highway seems endless. Still, there is pride in it. You are not just welding pipe. You are joining miles of work into one system, one bead at a time, in places most people will never see. And when the crew sees your rig pull in before daylight, nobody asks if you can handle the work. They already know why you were called. That trust becomes your real paycheck today. Level 8, the Elite Industrial Specialist. By 42, you are called for jobs where skill is not enough. Places change. Refineries, power plants, shipyards, offshore platforms, chemical facilities, emergency shutdowns, and industrial sites where each badge, permit, and locked gate reminds you that the work matters. Sometimes the job is planned for months. Sometimes a system goes down at night and your phone rings before you can sit for dinner. The repair must be right the first time because every hour offline costs more than most people earn in a year. You are no longer paid only for steady hands. You are paid for judgment. You know when metal needs more prep, when access is too tight, when rushing will create a bigger problem than waiting. Younger welders watch how little you waste. No dramatic talk, no wasted motion. Just checking, cleaning, fitting, confirming, then striking only when the job is ready. The conditions are rarely comfortable. Heat rolls off equipment, alarms test your nerves. Supervisors ask for updates every 20 minutes. Paperwork follows every pass. A bad weld can stop production, fail inspection, or put people at risk, so pride has no room here. Your first 5-figure week feels like proof that mastery has value, but the deeper proof is quieter. A plant manager saying, "Call him," before anyone else is suggested. You become the person brought in when the deadline is ugly and the repair cannot fail. The sparks look the same as they did when you were 17, but everything around them has changed. Back then, you were trying to make scrap hold together. Now, entire systems wait on your decision, your patience, and the steadiness of your hands. Level 9, the Master Welding Legend. At 52, your career is written across your body before anyone reads your resume. Scarred gloves, stiff shoulders, burn marks on jackets, hands that close slower in the morning but still know exactly how steel should sound when it is ready. You have welded in school booths, dirty shops, high beams, tight pipe racks, pipeline mud, winter wind, summer heat, shutdown nights, and plants where one mistake could stop a system. Thousands of welds sit behind walls, under floors, inside frames, across pipes, and along structures nobody will thank you for, because they will never know your name. That is how good work survives. It disappears into trust. Younger welders come to you with questions they are afraid to ask. Why did this crack? Why did this fail inspection? How do you stay calm when the position is terrible and everyone is waiting? You do not give speeches about talent. You show prep. You show fit up. You make them clean the joint again when they think it is clean. You tell them a pretty bead is useless if pride rushed the work underneath. Some days, you still take the hardest jobs yourself. Not to prove you are young, but because repairs need hands that learned patience. A broken bracket on a critical machine. A pipe no one wants to touch. A custom frame that must hold straight. When you lower your helmet, the shop gets quiet. The arc flashes, and every year collapses into that first spark. The light is the same, the fear is different. Back then, you were scared of the fire. Now you respect it. Your old helmet hangs near the office, scratched, smoky, and too beat up to wear. Beside it sits the first welding machine you bought, used with money you could barely spare. Apprentices laugh at how small it looks until you tell them it paid for your first rent, first truck repair, and first chance. Awards matter less than those objects. They remember hunger. They remember the ugly bead, the failed plate, the foreman grinding out your work, the first pass that stayed. By now, people call you a legend, but you know the rank is not built from one perfect weld. It is built from every weld you refused to fake, every flaw you fixed before inspection found it, every young worker you stopped from learning the hard way. One evening, after the shop lights dim, a new trainee stands in a booth with oversized gloves and scrap steel. His shoulders are tight, the helmet drops, the arc jumps wild, too bright, too loud, and the bead crawls across the metal like a nervous scar. He lifts the hood, embarrassed, waiting for judgment. You look at the mess and smile because you recognize the beginning. Then you point to the plate and say, "Try again." He lowers the helmet. Sparks fly, and the craft keeps moving, one stubborn hand at a time.